You were told it would work out. Study hard, go to college, build a career. The formula was simple, clean, handed down like gospel. And you did it. You followed every rule, checked every box, did everything they said would lead to stability. And yet, here you are, financially strained, emotionally exhausted, watching the promises dissolve in real time. This isn't about laziness. It's not about entitlement. It's about a generation that was raised on one set of rules, only to enter a world that had quietly rewritten them. You were conditioned for optimism. The 80s and 90s parenting culture centered around self-esteem, participation trophies, and constant encouragement. You were told you could be anything. That belief was genuine. Your parents, your teachers, they meant it. But what they didn't prepare you for was a system that wouldn't cooperate. They gave you confidence without contingency plans, hope without warning labels. So when you graduated into recession, into student debt that doubled while wages flatlined, into job markets that demanded experience for entry-level roles, it didn't just feel unfair, it felt like betrayal. This is where the cognitive dissonance sets in. You're holding two opposing truths at once. I did everything right, and I'm still struggling. And when reality contradicts the narrative you built your identity on, your brain doesn't blame the system first, it blames you. That's imposter syndrome. That's the voice that says you're not working hard enough, not smart enough, not resilient enough. It's the internalization of structural failure, and it's exhausting. Then came social media, the amplifier you didn't ask for. You're not just living your life anymore, you're performing it. Everyone else looks like they're thriving, hitting milestones, traveling, advancing. You know it's curated, you know it's not real, but your nervous system doesn't care. It registers every post as evidence that you're falling behind. Comparison becomes chronic, validation becomes currency, and your self-worth becomes something you refresh. Meanwhile, the milestones you expected to hit by now, home ownership, marriage, financial security, keep moving further away, not because you're not trying, but because the cost of living has skyrocketed while wages stagnated, because stable jobs became gig work, because the systems that supported your parents' generation quietly collapsed before you got there. So you're stuck in this prolonged transition, not quite settled, not quite starting, just waiting, preparing for a future that never quite arrives. And your body knows it. Chronic uncertainty creates chronic stress. You're living in a low-grade fight-or-flight state, always anticipating the next financial emergency, the next layoff, the next thing that could go wrong. Burnout isn't a breakdown. It's your nervous system trying to survive a reality it was never designed for. You learned not to trust institutions because they stopped being trustworthy. Job hopping isn't flakiness, it's adaptation. Cynicism isn't attitude, it's pattern recognition.
And here's the paradox. You're more self-aware than any generation before you. You talk openly about therapy, boundaries, mental health. You understand nervous system regulation, attachment theory, generational trauma. You have the language for what's happening to you. But awareness without structural change just deepens the frustration. You can name the problem, but you can't fix it alone. And that gap between insight and relief is where a lot of millennials live now. Then there's the weight of everything else. Climate anxiety, political instability, social systems unraveling in real time. You inherited problems that took decades to create, and now you're expected to solve them without the resources, the time, or the power previous generations had. It's not just personal stress, it's existential. You're holding too much with too little support in a world that keeps asking for more. So let's reframe this. Your anxiety isn't a personal failing. It's a rational response to irrational conditions. You were promised one world and handed another. You were told the formula worked and then watched it break in your hands. That dissonance, that gap between what you expected and what you got, isn't something you caused, it's something you inherited. And the fact that you're struggling doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. It means your nervous system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do when the environment becomes unpredictable and the rules stop making sense. You're not broken, you're responding. The systems failed, the economy shifted, the promises didn't hold, and you're living in the aftermath, trying to build a life in a landscape that wasn't designed for you. But here's what matters. You're starting to see it clearly. You're naming the patterns. You're recognizing that the struggle isn't about effort or worth, it's about mismatched expectations and inherited instability. And that recognition, that's the beginning. Because once you stop blaming yourself for conditions you didn't create, you can start redefining what success actually means. Not based on outdated scripts or impossible standards, but on your terms, your pace, your version of enough. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to meet every milestone. You don't have to prove anything to a system that was already rigged. You just have to keep going. And give yourself permission to exist imperfectly, incompletely, but honestly, in a world that didn't turn out the way you were told it would. You're not broken. You're adapting. And that's more than enough.